India, a place of history, culture, and beauty. The 7th largest geographical area and the 2nd largest country by population with 1.2 billion people, where agriculture and farming in harsh conditions is a large part of the economy, and for one boy who works these fields, his whole life is about to change. He sees his father taking a fee from a man who is promising him, as well as 40 other or so children, a better life. Little does the boy know that what he is headed for may not be exactly what we would call a better life. They're headed towards a sweatshop in the nearby city of New Delhi, India. They will work around 16-hour days with little or no pay at all in unbearable circumstances. These children, whose story comes from a CNN article, were producing hand-stitched Christmas sweaters for Gap kids. These same sweaters that were being made for close to nothing were being sold for around $40 back in the US and UK. Such cheap labor is hugely profitable for these companies. Although recently Gap has been trying to work with human rights groups in India, they are unfortunately not the only mega company in America that has been linked to the use of child work sweatshops. The people responsible for bringing the children to New Delhi were reported saying that they were doing these children and their parents a favor, that without them, they would have nothing and be starving to death. Pro-sweatshop activists argue that these factories in developing countries such as India, China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, and Honduras are saving these children and providing them employment that they would not have otherwise. In a place where half of all the children are malnourished, promising them food is like promising them life. After learning all these facts, I have to ask myself, what's my responsibility to these sweet children? What is my ethical obligation to them, and what should I do? By buying these clothes, am I contributing to their harm, or am I helping their economy?
Are we as consumers responsible for the source of our possessions? Is India's tacit toleration of sweatshops unethical? Are these children better off working in a sweatshop or on the street, begging or stealing their dinner? How can the Indian government better provide for its exploding population?
The People's Republic of China is the world's most populated country. With 1.33 billion people, it consists of 20% of the world's population. China is home to around 358.4 people per square mile, contrasted to the US's 85.98 people per square mile. As we all know, the People's Republic of China is still a communist nation where the government must provide for all. So how is the government able to provide for 1.33 billion people? There comes a point where the need outweighs the resources available. Back in the 1980s, the government banned married couples from having more than one baby with hopes of eliminating the overcrowding problem that already developed. Today, local government officials are pressured by the birth control quotas, and prospective mothers have to be a certain age before they are given the right to a birth license to bear a child. Villages offer family planning services and provide subsidized contraceptives for married women, including intrauterine devices, female-male sterilization, pills, and injections. Once a married woman has met her quota of children, one child, she must be sterilized. If she makes the mistake of having another child, the couple is subject to fines and other sanctions. Many abortions still occur after contraception failure. Not to mention the abortion pill, RU486, is fully legal in China. And unfortunately, many women have died from infections caused from forced sterilizations or abortions. The more brutal sterilization and abortion cases are largely confined to poor and ethnic areas of China. The central government often seems to fear that if restrictions on population growth are lifted, there will be an immediate population explosion, which would be very unwelcome economically, causing even more rural people to be trapped in poverty. The government also sees its job as improving its population. Despite whether you are for or against abortion, is the government just doing its job to protect its people, or is it going too far?
How far is too far in regards to governmental control? Is China's impartial approach to the individual lives of its citizens too emotionally detached? Is the way China provides for the basic human needs of all its citizens unethical? Do the means justify the end?
Well, everyone always thinks that Bali is a gorgeous place and the most beautiful beaches. I was fortunate enough to go there this past summer, but although Bali is a beautiful place, my experience was a little bit different, and I left with an ethical dilemma that has definitely haunted me since I left. Bali has beautiful beaches and streets with tons of vendors, and it's a ton of fun. One night though, my friends and I had ventured off the beaten path and were trying to find a beach, and we came across a street that was filled with homeless people that were asleep on the side of the road, which to most people that wouldn't even startle them, but the thing that startled me the most was there was a large portion of the people were children and mothers. So when we walked by, it was of course startling, but we walked by and a little boy came and tugged on my shirt and asked for a drink, and so of course I was just like automatically like, let me get you a drink. The exchange is really high, dollars are worth millions over there. So I went into a grocery store or a convenience store, and was buying him whatever he wanted. I told him he could pick out whatever he wanted. When I went to pay for it, the cashier automatically just was mad and was like, go, stop, you can't do this, stop. And I was like alarmed. I was afraid a little bit too, because a foreign country on the other side of the world, third world, as a single 21-year-old girl, you don't want to do anything wrong. He told me to get out, to not buy anything for people outside anymore. As I was doing that, there was a lady coming in with a child, and there was all these people coming in to buy more things. He explained to me that was terrible for the economy, that they don't want those people around, they don't want them begging tourists for money because it takes away from their own income. And so that, it was really hard for me because I physically, I couldn't give them anything that I wanted, but I've always been haunted. I mean, I went back and had a good time with my friends, went back to my air-conditioned hotel room and drank my bottled water, and had a good rest of the vacation while these people were still sleeping on the side of the road. So I guess I've always looked back and wondered what I could have done, what I should have done. Should I have stood up for these people and stood up to the authorities and to these people's like their own national people, or should I have just abided by the rules? So I guess that's been something that's always haunted me, and I've looked back and regretted.
Do you think the Indonesian government is taking the correct approach, discouraging tourists from giving the homeless money? Do you have an obligation to help provide for these children? Is doing nothing tolerating the abuse of their basic human needs? Is there a better way to provide basic human needs for all? We don't want to tell you what is right or wrong. The world is full of ethical dilemmas, and recognition is the first step.